The giant space station slowly turned around Earth like a metal moon. Dr. Maya Blackwood walked through the long white halls of the Terran Archive Station. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet corridors. The year was 3024, and Maya had spent her whole life studying old things from long ago. Maya was a xenoarchaeologist. She studied artifacts from different alien races and old human history. Today felt different, though. She had received a message about a sealed vault that nobody had opened for centuries. The vault was deep inside the station, in a section that most people forgot existed. As Maya took the elevator down to level 89, she thought about her work. For the past 5 years, she had been cataloging items from before the Great Peace. The Great Peace started in 2024, exactly 1,000 years ago. Before that time, humans were different. They fought wars and built weapons. After 2024, everything changed. Humans became peaceful traders and explorers. The elevator stopped with a soft ding. Maya stepped out into a dusty corridor. Emergency lights cast strange shadows on the walls. She followed her scanner until she found the vault door. It was huge and made of some kind of black metal. Strange symbols covered its surface. Maya placed her hand on the scanner. The door recognized her clearance and began to open with a deep rumbling sound. Air rushed out of the vault, carrying the smell of old electronics and metal. Maya turned on her flashlight and stepped inside. The vault was enormous. Rows and rows of storage containers filled the space. Each container had labels with dates. From before the Great Peace, Maya read some of the labels. Military Strategy Archives 2019 to 2023. Weapons Development Projects, Battle Records, Final Wars. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. She had studied peaceful human history for years. These containers held secrets from a time when humans were warriors. She opened the first container and found data chips, old books, and holographic storage devices. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, something else was happening. On the planet Vorthan Prime, massive creatures gathered in a great hall. The Vorthans were tall and strong, with thick gray skin and 4 arms. They were born warriors who lived for battle and conquest. General Vexel stood before the War Council. His red eyes glowed with excitement as he spoke to the other Vorthan leaders. "My fellow warriors," he said in his deep voice, "for too long we have searched for worthy enemies. The galaxy has grown soft and weak." The other Vorthans nodded and growled in agreement. They had conquered many worlds, but none had given them a real fight. Emperor Zithik, the largest Vorthan of all, sat on his throne made of metal from defeated enemies' ships. "What do you propose?" General Emperor Zithik asked. Dexel activated a holographic display. It showed the human territories, hundreds of worlds connected by trade routes. "The humans, my emperor, they control vast territories and resources. But look at their ships, no weapons. Look at their armies, they have none. They have grown weak during their 1,000 years of peace." The War Council laughed loudly. The sound echoed through the great hall like thunder. These humans sounded like easy prey. "Our spies report that humans spend their time on art, science, and trade," Vexel continued. "They have forgotten how to fight. They have no warrior culture, no battle fleets, no weapons of war. They will surrender quickly when they see our might." Emperor Zithak stood up from his throne. His massive form cast a shadow over the entire council. "Then we shall give them the honor of facing the Vorthan Empire in battle. Prepare the declaration of war." Back on the archive station, Maya continued exploring the vault. She found files about something called Project Stormfront and Operation Steel Rain. The names sounded scary and violent. She had never heard of these things in any history books. Maya plugged in one of the data chips. Her screen filled with technical drawings of weapons she could not understand. The designs were incredibly complex and advanced. Some of the weapons could destroy entire cities, others could disable whole fleets of ships. She found personal logs from military commanders. One recording showed a woman in a green uniform. The name tag read Admiral Elena Vasquez. Maya had never heard this name before. Day 1847 of the Final Wars, the recording began. "The enemy thinks they understand human warfare. They are wrong. We have spent centuries perfecting the art of conflict. Every battle teaches us something new. Every defeat makes us stronger." Maya paused the recording. Final Wars. What were the Final Wars? Her history books said the Great Peace began when humans simply chose to stop fighting. There was no mention of any final wars. She continued watching the recording. Admiral Vasquez looked tired but determined. "The generals are worried about what comes after we win. How do we ensure this never happens again? Some suggest we should hide our true capabilities. Let the galaxy think we have become weak. Peace, through secret strength." The recording ended. Maya stared at the blank screen. Secret strength. What did that mean? Meanwhile, the Vorthan declaration of war traveled through space toward Earth. The message was simple and direct, as all communications were. It announced that the Vorthan Empire would conquer all human territories within 1 galactic year. Humans had 30 days to surrender or face total destruction. The message reached Earth's government center just as President Luna Rodriguez was having her morning coffee. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had led Earth's government for 12 years, always focusing on peace and cooperation. The alien ambassador who delivered the message was a formal creature from the Centauri Republic. He stood nervously in the president's office, expecting panic and fear. Instead, President Rodriguez read the declaration and began to laugh. Her laughter started as a small chuckle but grew louder. Soon she was laughing so hard that tears came to her eyes. Her staff members looked at each other in confusion. Was their president having a breakdown? "I'm sorry," President Rodriguez said, wiping her eyes. "Could you read that part again, about how they're going to conquer us?" The ambassador repeated the Vorthon demands. This made the president laugh even harder. She pressed a button on her desk, connecting her to the Galactic Council's emergency session. "Attention, council members," she said, still giggling. "The Vorthons have just declared war on humanity. Yes, you heard correctly. The Vorthons think they can conquer us." The response from other world leaders was immediate laughter. The Centauri ambassador stood in shock as human officials across the galaxy reacted with amusement instead of terror. On Vorthon Prime, General Dexel received reports of the human response. His red eyes grew wide with confusion and anger. "They laugh at us," he roared. "They dared to mock the Vorthon Empire." Emperor Zithik was equally puzzled. In his experience, declared enemies either surrendered in fear or prepared for battle. They never laughed. "Perhaps they do not understand a situation," he said. "Double our fleet size. Show them we are serious." Back in the vault, Maya found more recordings. This time, she discovered files about something called Protocol Omega. The files were heavily encrypted, but she managed to access the introduction. Protocol Omega represents humanity's insurance policy. Read the first line. "In the event that our peaceful facade is challenged, this protocol will remind the galaxy why the Great Peace was necessary in the first place." Maya felt her heart beating faster. Peaceful facade. Insurance policy. What exactly had humans been hiding for the past 1,000 years? Admiral Rex Kane stood on the bridge of his ship, the TFS Harmony. He was a tall man with silver hair and calm blue eyes. For 30 years, he had commanded what everyone called the Terran Defense Fleet. Most people thought it was just a small group of ships that protected trade routes. They were very wrong. Rex received the emergency message from Earth just as he finished his morning tea. The message was short and simple. "Protocol Omega is now active. Defensive measures authorized. Good hunting." Admiral Rex smiled. He had waited his whole career for this moment, though he had hoped it would never come. He pressed a button on his command chair. "Attention all vessels in the Terran Defense Fleet. This is Admiral Kane. Execute Protocol Omega immediately. Repeat, Protocol Omega is now active." Across human space, something incredible began to happen. Ships that looked like peaceful cargo haulers started to change. Metal panels slid away to reveal weapon ports. Fake cargo holds opened to show missile launchers. What everyone thought were simple merchant vessels were actually the most advanced warships in the galaxy. The TFS Harmony itself began its transformation. The ship had always looked like a large passenger liner, but now its true form was revealed. Armor plating emerged from hidden compartments. Massive energy cannons rose from concealed positions. The ship's hull stretched and reconfigured itself into the shape of a deadly predator. Captain Lisa Chen watched from the bridge of her ship, the TFS Serenity. Like all human ship commanders, she had trained for this day while pretending to be a simple cargo captain. Her crew worked with practiced efficiency as their transport ship became a battlecruiser. "All systems showing green, Captain," reported her weapons officer. "Main guns are online. Shield generators at full power. We are ready for combat." Lisa nodded. She opened a communication channel to the rest of her squadron. "All ships, this is Serenity. Remember your training. These Vorthons think we are weak. Let's show them what humans can really do." Meanwhile, on Vorthon Prime, General Dexal was studying reports from his scouts. Something was wrong. The readings his ships were sending back made no sense. Human vessels that should have been defenseless were showing massive energy signatures. General said his aide, a younger Vorthon named Krex. "Now forward scouts report that human ships are changing. They claim the vessels are revealing hidden weapons." Dexal snorted with disgust. "Impossible. Our intelligence is perfect. Humans have no military technology. Your scouts are seeing sensor ghosts or equipment failures. Have their instruments checked." But the reports kept coming. Human civilian ships across dozens of systems were transforming into something else. The energy readings were beyond anything the Vorthons had ever seen. Some of these human vessels were showing power levels that matched entire Vorthon battle fleets. Emperor Zithik called an emergency meeting. The Great Hall filled with worried Vorthon commanders. For the first time in their history, they were receiving reports that made them nervous. "Explain these readings," Emperor Zithik demanded, pointing at the holographic display. It showed human ships with impossible energy signatures. General Vexel looked at the data again. "My Emperor, there must be some mistake. These numbers suggest that a single human ship has more firepower than our entire First Fleet." That is clearly impossible. Back in the archive vault, Dr. Maya Blackwood was discovering the truth. She had found files that explained everything. The documents were marked with the highest security classifications, but Protocol Omega had automatically granted her access. Maya read about Admiral Elena Vasquez, the architect of the Great Peace. The woman had not just ended human wars, she had created something much more clever. Elena had convinced the galaxy that humans had become weak and peaceful. In reality, humans had spent 1,000 years becoming the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The files showed ship designs that were incredible. Every human vessel, from the smallest cargo ship to the largest passenger liner, was actually a military vessel in disguise. The cargo holds were filled with weapons. The passenger areas contained battle stations. The engines were powerful enough to outrun any known ship. Maya found a recording from Admiral Elena Vasquez herself. The woman looked directly at the camera with serious eyes. "If you are watching this, then Protocol Omega has been activated," Elena said. "This means that someone has been foolish enough to threaten humanity. They have made a terrible mistake." Elena's image continued. "For 1,000 years, we have pretended to be merchants and peaceful explorers. We have hidden our true nature. Every human ship, every human colony, every human settlement has been designed with one purpose. We are ready for war, even though we choose peace." Maya paused the recording. She was beginning to understand. The Great Peace was not about humans becoming weak. It was about humans becoming so strong that they could afford to be peaceful. The recording continued. "Our weapons technology is centuries ahead of anyone else. Our ships are faster, stronger, and smarter. Our crews have trained in secret for generations. We are not merchants pretending to be warriors. We are warriors pretending to be merchants." Meanwhile, Admiral Rex Kane was preparing for the first test of human military might in 1,000 years. Long-range sensors showed a Vorthon scouting fleet approaching the Proxima system. 3 human ships were in the area. To the Vorthons, they looked like easy targets. The Vorthon fleet consisted of 12 heavy battle cruisers and dozens of smaller attack ships. It was a force that could conquer most civilizations. General Dexel had sent them to capture some human vessels and show the galaxy that the Vorthon Empire was serious. Commander Vorthak led the Vorthon fleet. He was confident and eager for battle. His sensors showed 3 small human ships that appeared to be cargo vessels. This would be an easy victory. "Human vessels," Vorthak transmitted. "You are ordered to surrender immediately. Prepare to be boarded." The human response came from Captain David Wright aboard the TFS Phoenix, Vorthon fleet. "This is Captain Wright. I strongly suggest you turn around and go home. This is your only warning." The Vorthons laughed. One small cargo ship was threatening an entire battle fleet. Vorthax gave the order to attack. What happened next shocked the galaxy. The 3 human ships suddenly revealed their true nature. Weapons that no one knew existed opened fire with devastating precision. The Vorthon ships, which had seemed so powerful moments before, were destroyed in seconds. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. When it was over, the entire Vorthon scouting fleet was gone. Not destroyed completely, but disabled and captured. The human crews had used some kind of weapon that shut down Vorthon systems without killing the crews. Captain Wright opened a communication channel to the disabled Vorthon flagship. "Commander Vorthon, this is Captain Wright. Your crews are unharmed but your ships are finished. We will return your people to Vorthon space with a message. Tell your Emperor that humans do not wish to fight, but we remember how." On Vorthon Prime, the news of the destroyed scouting fleet created panic. General Vexal stared at the reports in disbelief. 3 human cargo ships had defeated his best fleet. It was impossible, yet it had happened. Emperor Zithik called for an immediate intelligence review. "How did we not know about these weapons?" he demanded. "How did we not know about their true capabilities?" The intelligence officers had no answers. For centuries, they had watched human ships and colonies. Everything had seemed peaceful and weak. There had been no signs of military development or weapons testing. Dr. Maya Blackwood found the answer in the archive files. Humans had not just hidden their weapons, they had hidden their entire military development in plain sight. The research station was actually a weapons laboratory. Every industrial facility was producing military equipment. Every exploration mission was actually military. Reconnaissance. The files showed that human children learned combat tactics in school, but they called it strategic games. Human adults practiced military maneuvers, but they called it emergency response training. The entire human civilization was a military force pretending to be a peaceful society. Maya discovered recordings of training exercises that looked like cargo handling practice. In reality, they were weapon loading drills. She found videos of dance performances that were actually combat training. Everything humans did in public had a secret military purpose. The most shocking discovery was about human ship construction. Maya learned that every human ship was built around a central weapons core. The civilian sections were just decorations added on top. When Protocol Omega activated, the decorations fell away to reveal the true warship underneath. As Maya read through more files, she realized that the Great Peace had been the greatest military deception in galactic history. Humans had not given up war. They had perfected it, and then hidden their perfection so well that everyone forgot humans had ever been dangerous. The Vorthons were about to learn what humanity was really capable of. The news of the destroyed Vorthon fleet spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On Vorthon Prime, panic filled the great halls of power. General Vexel stood before Emperor Zithek, his red eyes wide with fear and confusion. Never in history had an entire battle fleet been defeated so easily. Explain this to me. Emperor Zithek growled, his massive form trembling with rage. How did 3 cargo ships destroy our finest warriors? General Exal had no answer. The reports made no sense. His commanders were sending messages that seemed like madness. They spoke of human ships that changed shape, weapons that appeared from nowhere, and technology that was impossible to understand. My Emperor Exal said carefully, perhaps we have underestimated the humans. Maybe their 1,000 years of peace was not weakness. Maybe it was something else. Emperor Zithak slammed his 4 fists on his throne. The sound echoed through the hall like thunder. Something else. What could be stronger than the warrior spirit? What could be more powerful than the Vorthon way of war? Meanwhile, on Earth, President Luna Rodriguez prepared to address the Galactic Council. She stood in her office, looking out at the blue planet that humans called home. Her staff gathered around her, all of them smiling with the same mysterious confidence that had confused the alien ambassador. Madame President, said her chief advisor, the entire galaxy is watching. What will you tell them? President Rodriguez straightened her jacket and walked toward the communication chamber. The truth, she said simply. It's time the galaxy knew what we really are. The Galactic Council emergency session connected leaders from hundreds of worlds. Representatives from dozens of species appeared as holograms in the Great Chamber. Everyone wanted to understand what had happened to the Vorthon fleet. President Rodriguez appeared at the center of the chamber. Her small human form looked insignificant among the massive alien leaders, but when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of ancient authority. Fellow beings of the galaxy, she began, for 1,000 years, humanity has been your neighbor, your trader, your friend. We have sold you goods, shared our art, and helped build the peace we all enjoy. But today, I must tell you something we have kept secret for 10 centuries. The alien leaders listened with growing curiosity. Some had suspected that humans were hiding something, but none had imagined the truth. The Great Peace did not make humans weak. President Rodriguez continued. It made us something far more dangerous. We became guardians. While you slept safely in your beds, while your children played in peaceful parks, while your merchants traveled unguarded through space, we were watching, we were protecting, we were preventing wars before they could begin. Gasps and whispers filled the chamber. The alien leaders began to understand that everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. President Rodriguez activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of small dots scattered across it. Every dot you see represents a human presence, a trading post, a research station, a diplomatic mission. What you don't see is what each dot really represents. The display changed. Now each dot showed its true nature. Trading posts became military observation stations. Research facilities revealed themselves as strategic defense platforms. Diplomatic missions were actually intelligence-gathering centers. For 1,000 years, President Rodriguez said, we have been preventing wars, stopping genocides, and maintaining galactic stability. The Krellian expansion that mysteriously failed. We stopped it. The Zentari plague that suddenly disappeared. We cured it. The 17 border disputes that were resolved without bloodshed. We resolved them. The alien leaders sat in stunned silence. Species that had credited their own diplomacy for peace were learning that humans had been secretly maintaining order all along. Dr. Maya Blackwood, watching the broadcast from the archive station, felt her heart racing. The files she had been reading were being confirmed in real time. Humanity had not just hidden weapons. They had hidden their entire role in galactic civilization. She returned to the archive files with new understanding. The documents now made perfect sense. Humans had not abandoned war after the Great Peace. They had evolved beyond it. Instead of fighting wars, they prevented them. Instead of winning battles, they made battles unnecessary. Maya found a file marked Guardian Protocol. It contained records of human interventions across the galaxy. The list was enormous. Humans had stopped thousands of conflicts, prevented dozens of genocides, and maintained peace through invisible action. One report showed how humans had secretly ended a war between the Altarian Republic and the Nexus Federation. Both sides thought they had reached a diplomatic solution. In reality, human agents had manipulated events to make peace the only logical option. Another file revealed how humans had prevented the Vorthon Empire from attacking the peaceful Delian colonies 500 years ago. The Vorthons never knew why their invasion plans had failed. Equipment had malfunctioned, supply lines had been disrupted, and key intelligence had been wrong. All because of human intervention. Maya realized that humans had been fighting a secret war for 1,000 years. Not a war of conquest or destruction, but a war against war itself. They had become so good at preventing conflicts that the galaxy had forgotten what conflict looked like. Meanwhile, Captain Jack Morrison was preparing to reveal another human secret. For 20 years he had operated a cargo hauler called the Lucky Strike in Vorthan space. Everyone knew him as a friendly trader who brought supplies to remote colonies. The Vorthans considered him harmless and trusted him completely. Now Captain Morrison stood in his ship's hidden command center. The Lucky Strike was not just a cargo hauler. It was one of hundreds of deep-cover intelligence vessels that humans had placed throughout the galaxy. Every major power had human agents living among them, watching and gathering information. Morrison activated his communication system and sent a coded message to all human agents in Vorthan space. The message was simple: Operation Sunlight begins now. Across the Vorthan Empire, humans who had been living as merchants, teachers, mechanics, and farmers suddenly revealed their true purpose. They were not civilians. They were the most highly trained intelligence operatives in the galaxy. On the industrial world of Vorthan 7, a human mechanic named Tom Bradley worked at the main power plant. For 15 years, he had fixed machines and made friends with his Vorthan co-workers. Today, he walked calmly to the main control room and entered a secret code that shut down power to the entire planet. On the military base of Fort Craxus, a human cook named Maria Santos had been serving meals to Vorthan soldiers for 8 years. Now she accessed the base's computer systems and downloaded every piece of military intelligence they contained. In the capital city of Vorthan Prime, a human artist named Robert Kim had been selling paintings for 12 years. His art studio was actually a sophisticated communication center that had been monitoring all Vorthan government activities. General Dexal watched in horror as reports flooded in from across the Empire. Humans everywhere were simultaneously revealing themselves as spies and saboteurs. Critical systems were failing. Military secrets were being stolen. Communication networks were being jammed. How is this possible? He demanded. How long have they been among us? His intelligence chief, a scarred veteran named Krextel, studied the reports with growing fear. General, based on these activities, humans have been infiltrating our empire for centuries. Every human we have ever met, every human we have ever trusted, was actually working for their government. Emperor Zithik received the reports in his throne room. For the first time in his life, the mighty Vorthan ruler felt something he had never experienced before: helplessness. His empire was crumbling not from external attack, but from internal collapse orchestrated by enemies who had been hiding in plain sight for generations. Dr. Maya Blackwood found the final pieces of the puzzle in the archive files. She discovered that the Great Peace was not just about ending human wars. It was about perfecting human warfare to such a degree that actual fighting became unnecessary. The files showed that humans had studied every species in the galaxy, knew the psychology, technology, and weaknesses of every potential enemy. They had prepared countermeasures for every possible threat. They had positioned agents and resources to neutralize any danger before it could become serious. Maya found a recording from Admiral Elena Vasquez that explained everything. "The greatest victory is not winning a war," Elena said in the recording. "The greatest victory is making war impossible. We have not abandoned our warrior nature. We have perfected it. We win before the fight begins." The recording continued. "Every human child learns strategy through games. Every human adult practices tactics through emergency drills. Every human settlement is positioned for maximum strategic advantage. We are all soldiers, but we serve in an army dedicated to peace." As Maya watched the recording, she understood the full scope of human achievement. Humanity had not just hidden weapons for 1,000 years. They had hidden their entire civilization. Every human was a warrior. Every human settlement was a military base. Every human activity served the ultimate goal of maintaining galactic peace. The Vorthans had declared war on the galaxy's secret guardians. They had attacked the one species that had been protecting everyone else. Now they were learning what it meant to face an enemy that had spent 1,000 years preparing for this exact moment. The Vorthan Empire was collapsing. On dozens of worlds, critical systems had failed simultaneously. Power plants shut down, communication networks went silent, and military bases found their computers locked with messages that simply said, "The humans send their regards." General Dexal stood in his command center, watching his empire crumble in real time. Red warning. Lights flashed across every screen. His forearms shook with rage and fear as he realized the truth. The humans had not just been traders and artists living among them. They had been the most sophisticated spy network in galactic history. "Sir," reported his aide Crexon, "we have lost contact with 47 military installations. The humans on each base have vanished, but not before downloading all our classified information." Dexal roared in fury. "How long have they been planning this? How did we not see it coming?" The answer came from an unexpected source. On the main screen, a familiar face appeared. It was Tom Bradley, the human mechanic who had worked on Vorthan 7 for 15 years. But now he wore the uniform of a Terran intelligence officer. "General Dexal," Tom said calmly, "my name is Commander Thomas Bradley of Terran Deep Operations. For 15 years, I fixed your machines and learned your secrets. I want you to know that this brings me no joy. We never wanted to hurt anyone. Dex snarled at the screen. You dare to speak of hurt? You have destroyed our empire. Tom shook his head. No, General. We have revealed your empire's weakness. You built your power on the assumption that others were weak. You were wrong. We are not destroying you. We are showing you that you were never as strong as you believed. Dr. Maya Blackwood watched the confrontation from her archive station. She had found more files that explained the psychological warfare component of Protocol Omega. Humans had not just studied Vorthan technology and tactics. They had studied Vorthan minds. The files showed that human psychologists had spent centuries analyzing Vorthan culture. They understood that Vorthans feared nothing more than appearing weak. The laughter was not just amusement. It was a calculated attack on Vorthan pride and confidence. Maya found a recording from Dr. Sarah Winters, a human psychologist who had designed the psychological aspects of Protocol Omega. The Vorthans are warriors, Dr. Winters explained in the recording. Their entire identity depends on being strong and feared. If we show them that we do not fear them, we attack the foundation of their power. The recording continued. Laughter is the most devastating weapon against a warrior culture. It says we do not consider them a serious threat. It says their strength is meaningless to us. This will do more damage than any physical weapon. Meanwhile, Emperor Zithek made a desperate decision. If his empire was falling apart from within, it would strike directly at the heart of human power. He ordered the Imperial Fleet, the largest military force in Vorthan history, to attack Earth itself, gather every ship he commanded, every warrior, every weapon. We will show these humans what happens when they mock the Vorthan Empire. We will burn their homeworld and end their games forever. The Imperial Fleet was massive. Over 3,000 warships gathered in formation around Vorthan Prime, battle cruisers the size of cities, fighters that moved like angry insects and massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets. It was the most powerful military force ever, assembled by any species. General Dexol took personal command of the fleet. As his flagship, the Doom of Worlds, led the armada toward human space. He felt his confidence returning. Whatever tricks the humans had used, they could not stand against such overwhelming force. The fleet traveled for 3 days through hyperspace. As they approached the Sol system, Dexol prepared for a glorious battle. Earth would surrender when they saw the size of his armada, or it would burn. Either outcome would restore Vorthan honor. But as the Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Earth, Dexol discovered that the humans had been expecting them. What he found waiting for him changed everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. Earth's moon was gone. In its place hung a massive artificial structure that dwarfed even the largest Vorthan ships. The structure was clearly a weapon platform, bristling with energy cannons and defensive systems that radiated power signatures beyond anything in Vorthan technology. What is that thing? Dexol demanded. His sensor officer, a veteran named Korthan, studied the readings with disbelief. General, the power output from that structure exceeds our entire fleet. I have never seen anything like it. But that was not all. As the Vorthan fleet spread out in attack formation, they discovered that the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter was not what it appeared to be. Each asteroid was actually a camouflage defense platform. Thousands of them activated simultaneously, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden for centuries. Admiral Rex Kane watched the Vorthan fleet from his command ship. Now revealed in its true form as the most advanced battleship ever built, the TFS Harmony had transformed completely, its peaceful appearance replaced by sleek armor and massive weapon arrays. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, the Vorthan fleet is taking defensive positions. They seem surprised by our preparations. Rex nodded. Open a channel to the Vorthan flagship. Let's give General Vexel a chance to understand his situation. On the bridge of the Doom of Worlds, Vexel received the human transmission. Admiral Kane appeared on his screen, standing calmly. Despite being outnumbered 3,000 to 1, General Vexel, Admiral Kane said, "Welcome to the Sol system. I am Admiral Rex Kane of the Terran Defense Fleet. I want you to understand something important. What you see around you represents less than 1% of human military capability." Vex laughed bitterly. "You are outnumbered 3,000 to 1. Human, surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Admiral Kane smiled sadly. "General, you still don't understand. Count the weapons pointed at your fleet." Vexel looked at his tactical display. The numbers made no sense. Each disguised asteroid platform had dozens of weapon systems. The artificial moon structure had hundreds of massive cannons. Even the planets in the system were showing energy signatures that suggested hidden defenses. "This is impossible," Vexel whispered. "How long have you been building these defenses?" 1,000 years, Admiral Kane replied. "Every day of the Great Peace, we have been preparing for this moment. We hoped it would never come. We are sorry that it has." Dr. Maya Blackwood found the files that explained Earth's transformation. During the Great Peace, humans had not just hidden their military nature. They had turned their entire solar system into the most powerful fortress in the galaxy. The moon had been hollowed out and converted into a weapons platform over 800 years ago. The asteroid belt had been gradually replaced with camouflage defense stations. Even Mars had been equipped with planetary defense systems that could destroy entire fleets. Maya discovered that every human colony throughout the galaxy was similarly prepared. What looked like peaceful farming worlds were actually military strongholds. What appeared to be research stations were weapons development facilities. The entire human civilization was a military machine, disguised as a peaceful society. General Vexel realized that his massive fleet was trapped. The humans had let them enter the Sol system, but now they were surrounded by weapons that could destroy them all. He had walked into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. "You planned this," he said to Admiral Kane. "You wanted us to attack Earth." Admiral Kane nodded. "We knew that warrior cultures like yours would eventually be drawn to what appeared to be our weakness. We prepared for every possibility. Your fleet is not in danger, General. Your crews will not be harmed, but your ships are now under our control." As if to prove his point, Admiral Kane gave a simple hand signal. Every Vorthan ship in the fleet suddenly found its systems locked down. Their weapons would not fire, their engines would not respond, their communication systems could only receive, not transmit. The technology was beyond anything the Vorthans understood. The humans had somehow taken control of their entire fleet without firing a shot. 3,000 of the most advanced warships in Vorthan history had been neutralized by what appeared to be magic. Vexel stared at his useless control panels. "How?" he whispered. Admiral Kane's expression was filled with sadness rather than triumph. "General, every piece of technology you have ever bought from human traders, every computer system you have ever installed, every communication device you have ever used, was designed by us. We built backdoors into everything. We have been able to control your technology for centuries." The revelation was crushing. The Vorthans had not just been infiltrated by human spies. Their entire technological civilization was built on human designs that could be controlled by human commands. Dr. Maya Blackwood found the final piece of the puzzle in Admiral Elena Vasquez's personal files. The Great Peace had not been about humans becoming peaceful. It had been about humans becoming so overwhelmingly powerful that actual warfare became unnecessary. "We do not win wars," Elena had written. "We make wars impossible to win against. Us, we do not defeat enemies. We make it impossible for enemies to succeed. The greatest military victory is one where no shots are fired and no lives are lost." General Dexal sat in his command chair surrounded by useless weapons and dead control panels. His mighty fleet was helpless. His empire was crumbling. His warrior pride was shattered. For the first time in his life, he began to understand why the humans had laughed. Emperor Zithik arrived on Earth 3 days after his fleet was captured. He came not as a conqueror, but as a prisoner. The massive Vorthon ruler sat in chains aboard a human transport ship, expecting to be executed for his crimes against the galaxy's secret guardians. The ship landed at the United Earth Government Center. Emperor Zithik was escorted by human guards, who treated him with surprising respect. They did not mock him or show cruelty. They simply guided him to where he would meet his fate. President Luna Rodriguez waited for him in a simple conference room. She sat at a plain wooden table with 2 chairs. There were no weapons, no guards, no signs of power or threat, just a small human woman waiting to speak with the emperor who had tried to destroy her people. "Please sit," President Rodriguez said gently. Emperor Zithak stared at her with confusion. "Where are your executioners? Where are your torture devices? I am your enemy. I tried to destroy your world." President Rodriguez smiled sadly. "Emperor Zithik, you are not our enemy. You are someone who made a mistake. We do not execute people for making mistakes. We help them learn from those mistakes." The emperor sat down heavily in the chair. His massive form made the furniture creak. "I do not understand humans. You have the power to destroy my entire species. Why do you not use it?" "Because," President Rodriguez said, "the greatest victory is not in destroying your enemies. The greatest victory is in turning your enemies into friends. We would like to offer you something that no one has ever offered the Vorthan Empire before." She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Hundreds of systems were highlighted in different colors. This shows the current state of galactic civilization. Red areas show regions where conflicts are brewing. Yellow areas show places where problems might develop. Green areas show stable, peaceful regions. Emperor Zithok studied the display. Most of the galaxy was green, but there were still many red and yellow areas. "What does this have to do with the Vorthan Empire?" "Everything," President Rodriguez replied. "For 1,000 years, humans have been maintaining galactic peace by working in secret. We have prevented wars, stopped genocides, and protected innocent people. But we are tired of working alone. We want partners." She changed the display to show Vorthan territory. "Your people are warriors. You understand strength and honor, but you have been using your strength to conquer and destroy. We want to show you a different way to be warriors." Meanwhile, Dr. Maya Blackwood was presenting her discoveries to the Galactic Council. The Great Chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all of them trying to understand the revelations about humanity's true nature. "Fellow beings," Maya said, "for the past week I have been studying the archives of human military history. What I have found changes everything we thought we knew about galactic civilization. She activated a massive holographic display that showed a timeline of the past 1,000 years. Every major conflict that was prevented, every genocide that was stopped, every war that never happened. All of this was due to human intervention. The alien representatives listened in amazement as Maya listed human achievements. The Krellian expansion had been stopped when human agents sabotaged their military supply lines. The Zentari plague had been cured by human scientists working in secret. Dozens of border disputes had been resolved by human diplomats who convinced both sides that peaceful solutions were better. Humans had been fighting a secret war for 1,000 years, Maya continued. Not a war of conquest, but a war against war itself. They have been the galaxy's guardians, protecting all of us while we slept peacefully. In the audience, representatives from various species began to understand the scope of human protection. The peaceful Delians realized that humans had prevented 3 different invasions of their homeworld. The commercial Zentari discovered that humans had protected their trade routes from pirates for centuries back on Earth. Emperor Zithak was learning about humanity's offer. President Rodriguez had proposed something unprecedented. The Vorthans could join the human mission to protect galactic peace. Your warriors are skilled, President Rodriguez explained. Your technology is advanced. Your empire spans dozens of worlds. Instead of using these assets for conquest, you could use them for protection. You could become guardians instead of destroyers. Emperor Zithak was silent for a long moment. And if we choose to remain your enemies, President Rodriguez's expression grew sad. Then we will continue to protect the galaxy from you. Your empire will remain disabled. Your fleets will stay under our control. Your people will be safe, but they will never again be free to threaten others. The emperor understood. The humans were offering him a choice between partnership and permanent containment. It was not really a choice at all. What would you require of us, he asked. That you learn, President Rodriguez replied, that you understand the difference between strength used for conquest and strength used for protection. We will teach you what we have learned in our 1,000 years of secret guardianship. General Vexel had his own meeting with Admiral Rex Kane aboard the TFS Harmony. The Vorthan commander sat in what he expected to be an interrogation room. Instead, he found himself in Admiral Kane's private office, sharing a meal. This makes no sense, Vexel said. I am your prisoner. You should be questioning me about military secrets. Admiral Kane cut a piece of fruit and offered it to the General. We already know all your military secrets. We have known them for centuries. What we want to know is whether you can learn to be something more than a conqueror. Vexel stared at the human admiral. You speak of learning. What would you teach a warrior like me? That the greatest battles are the ones that never need to be fought, Admiral Kane replied. That the strongest warriors are those who protect the weak instead of destroying them. That true honor comes from serving something larger than yourself. General Vexel considered these words. In Vorthan culture, we measure worth by victories in battle. How would we measure worth in your system? Admiral Kane smiled. By the number of lives you save instead of the number of enemies you defeat. By the conflicts you prevent instead of the wars you win. By the peace you create instead of the chaos you spread. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other species were learning about a shadow organization that had been manipulating them into attacking humanity. Dr. Maya Blackwood had discovered evidence of a secret group calling itself the Hegemony Coalition. The coalition consisted of leaders from several species who believed that humans had grown so powerful that they threatened everyone else. They had been secretly encouraging various species to test human defenses, hoping to find weaknesses that could be exploited. The Vorthan attack had been just one part of their plan. Other species had been preparing similar assaults on human territory. The coalition had convinced them that humans were secretly planning to conquer the galaxy and that a preemptive strike was necessary. Maya presented this evidence to the Galactic Council. The coalition has been using our fears against us, she explained. They convinced various species that humans were a threat, when in reality humans were the only thing protecting us from real threats. The revelation shocked the galaxy species that had been preparing for war against humanity suddenly realized they had been manipulated. The coalition's lies had nearly started the largest galactic war in history. Human agents working throughout the galaxy began capturing coalition leaders. The operation was swift and precise. Within hours, the entire conspiracy was dismantled. The leaders were captured alive and brought before the Galactic Council to face justice. Emperor Zithak watched the coalition trials from Earth. He began to understand how thoroughly his empire had been deceived. The intelligence that had convinced him to attack humanity had come from coalition agents who wanted to use the Vorthans as weapons against the galaxy's protectors. We were fools, he admitted to President Rodriguez. We believed lies because they told us what we wanted to hear. President Rodriguez nodded. Many species have made that mistake. The important thing is learning from it. Will the Vorthan Empire accept our offer of partnership? Emperor Zithak looked out the window at Earth's peaceful cities. He could see human children playing in parks, artists creating beautiful works, scientists working on projects to benefit all species. This was the civilization his empire had tried to destroy. Yes, he said finally. We accept, teach us to be guardians instead of conquerors. The transformation of the Vorthan Empire began immediately. Human advisors worked with Vorthan commanders to retrain their military forces. Instead of conquest fleets, they became rapid response teams that could stop conflicts before they escalated. General Lexel became the first Vorthon officer to graduate from the Terran Defense Academy. He learned human strategies for preventing wars, protecting civilians, and maintaining peace through strength used wisely. The establishment of the Galactic Defense Pact marked a new era in galactic civilization. Humanity finally revealed their true role openly, with their former enemies now understanding that true strength came from protecting others rather than dominating them. Dr. Maya Blackwood returned to the archive vault one final time. She added new records to the collection, documenting how the Great Peace had evolved into something even greater. The galaxy now had open guardians instead of secret ones. As she sealed the vault, Maya left a message for future generations. The greatest warriors are those who fight for peace, not for conquest. The strongest species are those who lift others up instead of tearing them down. Emperor Zithik, now an advisor to the Galactic Defense Pact, made his own final observation. We declared war on humanity and they laughed. Now we understand why. They had already won the only war that truly mattered, the war against war itself.